This is the footwear of the central bankers of the world, okay? We live in a fucking clown show, and your kids are going to suffer from it because of the idiots that are managing monetary policy globally. Why do I say that? Very simply, the debt spiral is unsustainable. It's only grade 11 mathematics, and it's like these retards. You're not supposed to say that, but I gotta call it out for the kids, have not done their grade 11 math. If the USA were a corporation where I spent my life trading junk bonds, it would be rated triple C, one notch away from bankruptcy. Bitcoin is the best upside opportunity I have ever seen. I have a price target on Bitcoin of over $2 million US dollars per Bitcoin. Don't overthink things. Bitcoin is a similar 13-year-old technology that's going to change the world. Why? Well, first of all, this is a dated slide, but look at your top left-hand corner. That's the total US government debt. 30 trillion at the time of this slide. It's now over 31 trillion. But the relevant number is at the bottom right-hand side. $170 trillion of unfunded liabilities in the United States, one country. It will never be paid back. It is mathematically impossible to raise that amount of money. And every single government in the world has the same challenge, okay?
All right, YouTube, I got a great one. It was Greg Foss's speech at Bitcoin Amsterdam, one of the best speeches about Bitcoin that I've ever seen. If this doesn't make you bullish, if this doesn't open your eyes to what central bankers are doing, I mean, pretty crazy to think about the United States and Canada being in such a bad position, and understanding how math works, and understanding how much money central banks have to print, and understanding the fact that central banks really print money out of thin air. And what that means is that anytime that the government needs to spend more money and they've hit their debt limit, that means that the amount of money that we gave the government previously was not enough. So they needed to print extra and borrow. And when they're printing extra and they're putting more dollars out into supply, that's causing the price of everything else around us to go up in value. So the government is now spending money that they don't have. And let me remind you, the United States made $4 trillion last year, over $4 trillion between 1912, when fiat currency was created, and 2008, I want to say. The United States had only printed $4 trillion from the beginning of time. So that means over an 88-year period, the United States never needed to print more than $4 trillion, and they survived. How is it possible that the United States government made $4 trillion this year, and they're still needing to borrow more money? Senators are getting raises, presidents are getting raises, government officials are getting raises. The average middle-class person, not so much. Is this really the world that you want your kids to grow up in? And it all revolves around their ability to print money out of thin air. And inflation, don't get it twisted, inflation is a tax. No different than it is paying your state taxes, or no different than it is paying your sales tax. When everything goes up in value, the person that profits the most is the government. Because when you're paying taxes on a $6 gallon of gas, you're paying 6% on every dollar. So if gas costs $6 per gallon, your government is making that much more money, and it's costing you that much more money. So in this inflationary environment, those who profit the most are governments. Those who suffer the most are the lower class income.
And I want you to remember one thing. If you own 0% of your portfolio in Bitcoin, you're actually taking far more risk than if you have a proper portfolio allocation. That portfolio allocation will change depending on the individual. But remember this, the only wrong exposure to Bitcoin is having 0% exposure, okay? Please remember that. This is the footwear of the central bankers of the world, okay? We live in a fucking clown show, and your kids are going to suffer from it because of the idiots that are managing monetary policy globally. Why do I say that? Very simply, the debt spiral is unsustainable. It's only grade 11 mathematics, and it's like these retards. You're not supposed to say that, but I gotta call it out for the kids, have not done their grade 11 math, okay? Horrible but true. They're compromising our future. A little bit more about the Foss legacy. Strangely, my great uncle developed and designed the first gas-powered automobile in Canada. This is a replica. He designed the automobile, and Henry Ford asked him to go into business. And Henry Ford said, "Your automobile is better than mine." My uncle said, "It'll never catch on." He produced one automobile. Don't overthink things, people. He didn't produce the automobiles because he had to drive on the sidewalks. They didn't plow the streets in Sherbrooke, Quebec, because that's where the horses went. So it's never going to catch on. People won't allow me to drive on a sidewalk. Don't overthink things. Bitcoin is a similar 13-year-old technology that's going to change the world. Why? Well, first of all, this is a dated slide, but look at your top left-hand corner. That's the total U.S. government debt. 30 trillion at the time of this slide. It's now over 31 trillion. But the relevant number is at the bottom right-hand side. $170 trillion of unfunded liabilities in the United States, one country. It will never be paid back. It is mathematically impossible to raise that amount of money. And every single government in the world has the same challenge, okay? $200 trillion combined of a funded and unfunded debt the U.S. will never pay back. You need to protect against the debt spiral. It's as simple as this. The average coupon on the debt that they are paying right now is about 1.5%. Guess what the Fed is doing today and doing for the rest of the year for sure? Raising interest rates, effectively increasing the cost of their debt so that it's unsustainable. If the USA were a corporation where I spent my life trading junk bonds, it would be rated CCC, one notch away from bankruptcy. Now here's the crazy thing. The US is the best horse at the glue factory, okay? You guys in Europe are so screwed, it's not funny. I just can't say it any other way, okay? So grade 11 math, you will never pay back your debt. How do I know? Because this is a credit default swap market that I traded for corporations, but also trade on countries now, okay? These are probabilities of default of companies in an open market calculation. You think the USA is risk-free? Why are people buying protection on the USA at a price there that was 16 basis points, which meant it cost you $16,000 a year to insure $10 million of debt over a 5-year period? Look at Canada, people, my home country. Canada has a higher rating, AAA, than the USA, but it trades twice as wide. The market is telling you Canada, a G7 country, is twice as likely to go bankrupt as the USA. Well, listen, it's worse than that. I think Canada, within the next 10 years, could be the first G7 nation to default on their debt. And that default doesn't mean they can't pay it back by printing money. It just means no one will take the money. It's like Venezuela, okay? They were able to print their own money. People ended up pushing that money to the curb. This is a picture of the USA's deficit situation right now. And it's so ugly that you would say, who produced this graph? The Congressional Budget Office. This is a government organization that shows you how much the future interest expense is going to cost you and how much that adds to your deficit. Okay, look at the interest expense increasing over time. Your primary deficit are entitlements and military spending. Think of those as your fixed costs. Your net interest is expanding the debt balloon. Pure mathematics, it's organic expansion because they are not taxing enough to even pay back the interest that's accumulating on the debt. Again, if this was a junk bond company, it would be rated at the bottom of the scale, triple C. But they can print money. The USA will be the last fiat currency to fail, but ultimately all fiats fail. Okay, why are we here? Bitcoin, very simply, as I said, the most important financial innovation and technology that I have seen in 35 years of managing risk. Okay? Well, don't own Bitcoin. It's volatile. Oh my God, it's gone from 70,000 down to 20,000. This is the volatility of the Dow Jones Industrial Average versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin is now less volatile than the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Don't mistake volatility for risk. Bitcoin is the best upside opportunity I have ever seen. I have a price target on volatility for risk. Bitcoin is the best upside opportunity I have ever seen. I have a price target on Bitcoin of over $2 million US dollars per Bitcoin. Okay? Very simply, it's because it's based on the simple fact that I think Bitcoin captures 5% of global financial assets. And right now, global financial assets are 900 trillion US dollars. If Bitcoin gets 5% of that, that's $45 trillion. What's 45 trillion divided by 21 million? I'll save you the calculation. It's over $2 million a Bitcoin. Now, you'll say, Foss, how certain are you? And I would say, I'm not 100% certain, but I can flip it on its ear and say the market's trading at 20,000 and I have a price target of 2 million in today's dollars. The market is telling me I have a 1% chance of being right. And I'm like, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm way higher than 1%. You guys get how this game is played? It's all about a probability distribution, expected value, trade according to your information, get off zero. I have done okay in my life. I don't need Bitcoin for myself. I need it for my kids. I need it for your kids. I need it for the kids of Africa and less developed nations that somebody is going to start putting Bitcoin on their central bank balance sheet. I'd love it to be Canada. I don't think it will be. That being said, look at what's happening in El Salvador. Look at what's happening in the island of Madeira, where I visited with a bunch of my friends that are here today. There will be nations that adopt Bitcoin. They will be the winners. Okay? It's game theory. But do the same planning for your family. I'm not telling you you need to be 100% in Bitcoin. I'm not 100% in Bitcoin. But start with an allocation of up to 5% and then worry about the other 95% of your portfolio. Okay? 5% is not a crazy exposure to the best asymmetric trade opportunity I've ever seen. Henry Ford, we talked about him. This was December 1920, if I'm not mistaken. Ford would replace gold with energy currency and stop wars. Man, he saw Bitcoin coming 100 years ago. These are brilliant people. Bitcoin can be thought of as digital gold. I, as an engineer, get some flack from physics guys, but I don't care. I think of Bitcoin as digital energy. Ford saw it coming 100 years ago. I'm part of a free platform called Looking Glass Education. You can go here, learn about Bitcoin, learn all the stuff you won't learn in the Keynesian economics schools, because they can't tell you that fiat is the Ponzi, They can't tell you that the banking system is levered 25 times. Because if you knew that, you would never deposit your money in these risk-free institutions. Okay? This is a picture of my granddad. World War I, awarded the Order of the British Empire. He would have been a Bitcoiner. Why? Because Bitcoin, very simply, is freedom. Okay? It's hope. I don't want to get too sentimental, but I will tell you for certain, I have never seen a more important technology that's going to change the world. So let's bring it home. What's going on in the UK gilt market right now, the UK bonds that are risk-free? The 30-year UK gilt is down 50%. The pensioners put their trust in pension plans that levered that position 3-to-1. That position is down 150% in the last year, but God forbid they should buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin's too risky. No. Understand where the risk lies, people. It's with bonds and predominantly credit markets. When the world stops functioning, it's because credit markets seize up. Okay? Well, don't worry, that's the gilt market. We live in the EU. I'm going to play out a scenario for you. Germany is no longer a trade exporter. Germany is in big trouble. Germany is your sugar daddy. Germany ain't happy about that. You heard on the stage here earlier. The EU will fail. Just a matter of time. Protect yourselves and protect your kids. I'm not saying don't own gold. I agree with William Middlecoop. But own Bitcoin. It's the best opportunity I have ever seen. God bless you and your kids. Thank you so much.
Was that not one of the best speeches that you guys have ever heard? Definitely swing over there and show Greg Foss and show Bitcoin Magazine some love.